You ate an apple this week. Maybe you ate the whole thing, core, seeds, everything, standing over the sink, not thinking about it. Inside those little brown seeds is a chemical that, gram for gram, is one of the fastest acting poisons humans have ever known. The same poison spies used to end their own lives, the same poison used in execution chambers. It's called cyanide. And it isn't just in apples, it's in your cherries, your peaches, your plums, your apricots, your almonds. The fruit bowl on your counter is quietly stocked with it. This is the story of a poison your body eats on purpose, a molecule built with a trigger, a chemistry that suffocates you from the inside, a health food aisle that put people in emergency rooms, and the strange evolutionary reason a fruit would ever want to hurt the hand that feeds it. Let's get one thing out of the way, because it matters. You are almost certainly fine. People swallow apple seeds every day and nothing happens, and there's a very specific reason why. The seed of an apple is armored. It's wrapped in a hard, waxy coat designed to survive one very particular journey, being eaten and passing all the way through an animal and coming out the other end intact. If you swallow apple seeds whole, they do exactly that. They slide through you untouched and leave without ever releasing what's inside.
The poison only wakes up when the seed is broken, when you crush it, when you chew it, when you grind those seeds between your teeth.
So the whole story of this poison is really a story about one thing: whether or not the shell gets cracked. The chemical locked inside is called amygdalin. And amygdalin on its own is not the poison. That's the clever part. Amygdalin is a sugar molecule with cyanide chemically bolted onto it, completely stable, completely harmless, right up until the moment it isn't. Because the plant stores something else right next to it, an enzyme. And enzymes are molecular scissors. As long as the amygdalin and the enzyme are kept in separate compartments inside the seed, nothing happens. But crush the seed, and you tear those compartments open. The scissors meet the molecule. The enzyme snips the cyanide free. This is a two-part weapon that's only dangerous when you break it, which is exactly what your teeth are built to do. So the cyanide is loose. Here's what it actually does to you, and it's genuinely one of the eeriest ways a body can fail. Every cell you have runs on a tiny assembly line called the electron transport chain. At the very end of that line sits an enzyme called cytochrome C oxidase. Its whole job is to hand your cells spent energy over to oxygen, the final step that lets you turn breathing into living. Cyanide walks up to that enzyme and jams it, locks onto it, shuts the assembly line down. And here's the horror of it. There is still oxygen in your blood. Your lungs are still working. You are breathing, and the oxygen is right there. But your cells can no longer use a single molecule of it. You suffocate while completely surrounded by air. Doctors have a name for it: histotoxic hypoxia. Poison from breathing, while breathing perfectly. The cells that scream first are the ones that need the most energy. Your brain, your heart, which is why cyanide in a real dose doesn't take days. It takes minutes. Now back to that apple, because I promised you numbers. A single apple's worth of seeds contains only a tiny amount of amygdalin. To actually poison yourself with apple seeds, you'd have to collect the seeds from roughly 20 apples and then finally chew every single one in one sitting. It's possible. It has essentially never happened by accident. But the apple is the safe end of a ladder, and the ladder climbs fast. Cherry pits carry far more, peach pits more still, and at the top sits a seed most people don't even think of as a seed at all: the apricot kernel, the soft almond-shaped thing inside the hard pit of an apricot. Gram for gram, some bitter apricot kernels pack dozens of times the cyanide potential of an apple seed. The danger was never really the fruit you eat. It's the seed you were never supposed to open. So let's talk about the actual line between safe and not. For an adult, it takes somewhere around 1 to 2 milligrams of cyanide per kilogram of body weight to reach a lethal dose. For a lot of people, that's a total of roughly 50 milligrams of hydrogen cyanide. 50 milligrams. About the weight of a couple of grains of rice. With bitter apricot kernels, you can get uncomfortably close to that with a genuinely small handful. This is not a warehouse quantity, it is a snack-sized quantity. That's the part that unsettles toxicologists. The gap between healthy snack and hospital can be a few grams of something being sold as food. There's a detail here that detective novels got right for once. Poisoned by cyanide, a person's breath and skin can carry a faint smell, the smell of bitter almonds. That's not a coincidence. Bitter almonds are loaded with the very same amygdalin. The smell of almonds is, chemically, partly the smell of cyanide. But here's the twist inside the twist. Not everyone can smell it. The ability to detect that bitter almond scent is genetic, and something like 2 out of every 5 people simply can't smell cyanide at all. They could be standing in a room full of it and notice nothing. So the oldest warning sign we have for this poison is a warning that a huge fraction of humanity was born unable to hear. By now you might be wondering how anyone survives eating any of this, and the answer is that you are carrying a defense you've never once thought about. Deep in your cells is an enzyme called Rodinese. Its entire purpose is to hunt down cyanide, grab a spare sulfur atom, and weld the two together, turning the poison into a far less harmful compound called thiocyanate, which your kidneys then quietly flush away. You are detoxifying tiny amounts of cyanide right now, from the trace in your food, from the air, from your own metabolism. Your body treats small cyanide the way it treats a small cut. It just handles it, silently, and you never find out. The problem is capacity. Rodinese works at a fixed speed, and it needs sulfur to do it. Give it a trickle, and it keeps up forever. Give it a flood, a handful of crushed kernels all at once, and it drowns. The defense doesn't fail because it's weak. It fails because it's overrun. Here's where this stops being chemistry and starts being real people. Bitter apricot kernels are sold right now as a superfood. You'll find them marketed as a natural remedy, a cancer fighter, a source of a made-up nutrient called vitamin B17. None of that is real. B17 is not a vitamin. It's amygdalin wearing a friendlier name. And the results are exactly what the chemistry predicts. Health agencies around the world have logged cases of people following the dose right off the package, arriving in emergency rooms with racing hearts, seizures, collapse. Food safety authorities have had to issue formal warnings that more than a couple of kernels a day can push an adult toward acute cyanide poisoning from a product on a health food shelf. And this isn't new. This is one of the strangest chapters in modern medicine. In the 1970s, that same molecule, amygdalin, was purified, rebranded as a drug called Laetrile, and sold as a miracle cure for cancer. Tens of thousands of desperate people took it. Clinics crossed borders to give it. One of the most famous actors of the era chased it to the end of his life. It did not cure anyone. Controlled studies found no benefit whatsoever. What it did do was exactly what free cyanide does. It poisoned people who were already fighting for their lives. Regulators eventually shut it down. But vitamin B17 never really died. It just migrated from a drug bottle to a bag of kernels. And it's still on sale today. Step back though and ask the real question. Why? Why would an apple, a plant that clearly wants animals to eat it, hide a poison in its own children? And this is where it becomes beautiful, in a cold sort of way. A fruit is a bribe. The sweet flesh isn't there for you. It's there to buy you. The plant is paying an animal, in sugar, to carry its seed somewhere new and drop them off. That's the entire deal. Eat the flesh, move the seed, plant it in a pile of fertilizer, everybody wins. But there's a line in that contract. The seed must survive. If the animal chews the seeds up for a little extra food, the deal is broken and the plant gets nothing. So the plant armored the seed, and then it did something colder. It booby-trapped it. The message is chemical and it is precise. Swallow me and we're partners. Bite down and I will make you sick. The cyanide isn't there to kill you. It's there to teach you not to chew. Which raises one last gentle irony. Almonds, the ones in your pantry that you eat by the handful with no fear at all, those are the seeds of a fruit closely related to the peach. And wild almonds are bitter and full of cyanide, just like the rest of this family. The sweet, safe almond you know exists because of a single genetic switch. One mutation, flipping off the amygdalin, turning a poison seed into a harmless snack. Ancient farmers found that one lucky variant thousands of years ago and grew it, and only it, ever since. Every safe almond you've ever eaten is a plant that lost its weapon and got adopted for it. So here's where we land. You are not in danger from your fruit bowl. Swallow an apple seed and forget it. The system works. The armored shell, the split-apart poison, the quiet enzyme in your cells cleaning up the trace. You are protected by a stack of defenses you never asked for and will never feel. But the protection was never really for you. Every part of this, the poison, the armor, the trigger that only fires when the shell is crushed, is a negotiation between a plant and the animals that eat it, written in a chemical you happen to be able to survive. The apple was never yours. You were just useful enough to trust with the seeds. And the poison is still in there. Right now, in the bowl on your counter, waiting, very patiently, for something foolish enough to bite down.